It's true. All of it.
A lot of people aren't going to share this thought process, but I think we needed more screen time of her, actually.
Yes. The force is strong in my family.
We get to Canto Bight, and she starts to realize that there may be bad people that are part of the resistance.
Do or do not. There is no try.
She's crying. That's the most emotional way that you can introduce a character.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
And that happens because while Finn is not perfect, and while the resistance is not perfect, they're still good.
We're not done yet.
Make me a bird so I can fly far, far away. You don't remember that?
Where's that from? It sounds familiar.
That's Jenny from Forrest Gump.
Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen it.
And you've only seen it one time.
Yeah.
Welcome, Star Wars fans. This is Tatooine Sun, your weekly look at all things Star Wars. From the unique perspective of a father sharing his love for the amazing space fantasy saga with his two sons. I'm BB Nate, and I'm joined first by my brother, Samuel Hutt.
True to Star Wars fans, thanks for tuning in. And if you're not a Star Wars fan, then you may not understand some of the backlash behind Rose Tico.
I got a bad feeling about
I am a Star Wars fan, and I don't understand all the backlash behind Rose Tico. So anyway.
And of course, you can't have Star Wars without bizarre father figures. So on that note, here's my dad, the Bowtie Jedi guy.
So, Samuel the Hutt, we got to go see some space stuff.
Light it up.
Yeah. Space is hard.
Space is hard.
Yeah.
That's my new motto.
It is. So we saw SpaceX, we saw it launch really quick. For the listeners on audio, tell them what they thought, what you thought.
Oh, it was great. I mean, the launch itself was still really cool. But just being able to be with other people who were excited about the launch was also really neat, like just to feel their energy. And then being able to see some of the stuff at Kennedy Space Center itself, looking at the exhibits and their plans for the future was really, really cool because that's the stuff I want to be a part of.
That's awesome. BB Nate, you and I have been busy today. Mm-hmm. He's exhausted. So explain what we've been doing.
I'm moving my grandma out of our house and into her own.
We're not done yet.
That's fun, yeah.
What do you think? You've seen the house. Sam hasn't because Sam had a migraine and was in bed all day. But you
Didn't want to work.
What?
Didn't want to work. No, he would have.
No, I understand. But yeah, it's a nice house. It's a nice community as well. Good area as well. So that's important. So
Good.
Yeah, very cool. So we get to kind of get back to our own lives again. I mean, not that we don't appreciate having Grammy here, but with all the moving and then Grammy being here and me, Mom, Papa coming and visiting a couple of times already and all that, it just feels like we can sort of just kind of get back to what our normal was with that. So that's pretty cool. You guys ready for that?
Yeah. I'm ready to kind of chill a little bit.
Yeah, me absolutely. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we jump right into the hot takes? We now know that Jar Jar Binks is not a Sith Lord, but is in fact a Jedi Master. The population of Black Spire Outpost looks to grow exponentially very soon.
Impressive.
And that crazy helmet rule that the Mandalorian has
This is the way.
could keep Pedro Pascal from winning awards. That's all up next on Hot Takes.
Are you brainless?
I never asked that question till after I've done it.
All right, and again, as every week, our hot takes are courtesy of our friends over at farfaraway.com. They are aggregating some of the best stories out there. They've actually got some new interviews going on there, interviews with Kevin Scott and some others, and so we're very excited about what's happening there. You need to check them out.
I think you mean farfarawaynews.com.
Did I say that wrong?
You said farfaraway.com.
Far, far away. God, make me a bird so I can fly far, far away. You don't remember that?
Where's that from? It sounds familiar.
That's Jenny from Forrest Gump.
Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen it.
And you've only seen it one time.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll probably cut that from the video.
What?
So, all right. We've gotten our first glimpse at the Jedi Temple challenges. Last December, Lucasfilm announced that Jar Jar Binks actor Ahmed Best would host a new Star Wars game show called Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge.
I like this guy.
The game show is actually going to highlight, and we quote, harrowing obstacles and a hero's triumph over challenges.
And I fear nothing.
In an interview with Jamie Stangroom, Best explained, So with Jedi Temple challenges, it brings back this idea that we all have levels of connection to the Force. You can actually grow your connection to the Force, and it can become stronger through these trials at the temple.
I am a Jedi.
All of those things that Yoda did with Luke Skywalker at Dagobah in the swamp. This is where it was done first. It was in this temple. You've got to get good here. I dig that. It's something I think would be wonderful for kids, because now there's a path to this thing. Now there are actual steps you can take to being a strong Jedi. It gives you belief and faith. Now here's something that's interesting is instead of debuting on Disney Plus, which I think the assumption all along was that that's where it would be, Lucasfilm has taken an alternate route by releasing each new episode on the Star Wars Kids YouTube page. It will be arriving on Wednesday, June 3rd. So by the time you watch or hear this episode, it will actually have aired one episode. And fans of all ages will be able to hone their skills as the newest generation of the Jedi Order.
Can I join?
I'm not sure what the age limit is.
I think you're a little old, actually.
I think
should
so
check.
Too. We should. Well, let's talk about this. BB Nate, Ahmed Best has been very open about the effects of fan hatred in the 20 years since playing Jar Jar Binks in the prequel trilogy. How do you think fans are going to react to Best playing a Jedi Master in this new series?
I think that people will be fine with it. They've moved on from hating Jar Jar Binks and moved on to something different, sadly. But I think that they're going to be okay with it. It seems like an interesting concept. I think that it's not Jar Jar Binks. It's not going to be a crazy comedic, silly character that has to provide comedic relief. I don't think that that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be a Jedi Master. And so I think that people will be fine with it. I don't think they wouldn't be, but
you never know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think fans have moved on from hating Jar Jar Binks. We experienced this pretty firsthand at the 20 Years of Phantom Menace. It was 20 Years of Phantom Menace panel at Celebration when Ahmed Best came on. I mean, it was just the place erupted. It was the biggest standing ovation of the convention almost. And he said later on that he was almost moved to tears by it. And so I think fans have finally accepted him and his character. So there won't be really any backlash. Plus, he's not even playing Jar Jar Binks. People didn't like him because he played Jar Jar Binks. It wasn't him himself. So him playing a completely different character isn't going to make a difference either. People won't be able to backlash against that. So I think it'll be fine. I think it's cool that he's kind of starting to get back into Star Wars a little bit. Because it was sad, the stuff that he went through. After Phantom Menace.
It was really sad. Why do you think, Samuel the Hutt? Do you feel like it's so common for fans to take out their frustration with characters that they don't like on the actors who play them?
Yeah, well, I think it's because you can't attack a character, because the character doesn't exist. It sounds horrible, and it is horrible. That's why it's going to sound this way, but if you are looking for results and you attack a character, you're not going to get anything because he doesn't exist. So your next option would be to attack the real person who played the character. So if you're going for results, then that's the way you do it. And I know it's horrible, but that's just the way you do it. You just project it onto the real person as opposed to the character.
Yeah.
BB Nate, if they did a family version of this show where you could bring in a mom and dad and their kids, like 2 kids, do you think that we could get mom to do this?
Probably.
Oh, 100%. I think she'd think it's fun. It kind of looks like Survivor almost.
And Jar Jar Binks is one of her favorite characters.
That's true.
And meeting the actor would probably be awesome for her.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. I hope we get to meet him someday. That's a
That'd be
goal
really
of mine
cool
for us to be able to interview him at some point in the future. All right. Now, more Star Wars fans are actually going to be able to experience Batuu. So, if you can't visit Galaxy's Edge in person, ILM X Lab has announced that you'll be able to transport yourself there via a new action-adventure VR experience with a new game or experience on Oculus called Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. Again, it is in collaboration with Oculus Studios, and ILM X Labs executive in charge explained, "We are so excited for fans to step into Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge later this year. This action-packed adventure not only speaks to the promise of connected and complementary experiences by extending the lore around Black Spire Outpost, it represents another meaningful step in ILM X Lab's quest to transition from storytelling, one-way communication, to story living, where you're inside a world making consequential choices that drive your experience forward. The game is going to feature an original story with new characters and explore new regions of the planet Batuu. Will take place between Star Wars The Last Jedi and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. And what makes it unique is that guests can actually immerse themselves in these stories both inside and outside of the park." Samuel the Hutt, what impact do you think that this virtual experience is going to have on visitors in the real world Batuu?
Yeah, I think it will sort of enhance their immersion into the world. I just finished reading the Galaxy's Edge comic series, and I think it's going to really make it fun when we eventually get to go there. And I get to go to Dakandar's Den of Antiquities and look at some of the artifacts and know the stories of how he got them and what they are. So that'll add to it, and it'll make it more of like a personal experience for me. But then being able to go and play a game and live your story, because it says that there's going to be story living, not storytelling, because they did Vader Immortal, and that was a great series. It was a lot of fun, but it was very linear. You had no choices. It was the same story every time. With this story living, you'll be able to tailor your story to you. So I don't know, maybe when you go back to the park, maybe they'll be able to like link your experience in the game to your experience at the park, because we know the park's going to be interactive. So maybe your choices in the game will affect things in the real world Batuu, and possibly even backwards. So it'll make it really immersive and personal for everyone, because they're going to be able to live their own Star Wars story in a sense.
And then we have the hotel coming in 2021.
That's true.
So,
that would be cool if that all tied together with the entire experience.
That would be a huge, that'd be the biggest thing like Disney's done in a long time.
Most immersive scenario I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
With that. BB Nate, far, far away news sources have actually been told that a cryptic tweet posted by Anthony Daniels, which is like every tweet he does, is a cryptic tweet. But anyway, and by the way, if you're not following him on Twitter, then you're not doing Star Wars.
We're doomed.
Are you gatekeeping?
No, I'm just saying he's awesome. So,
okay.
I'm trying to encourage people to experience greater awesomeness from Anthony Daniels, because he's pretty amazing. Anyway, he tweeted out something that referenced the star's involvement in these in the game, and some sources at farfarawaynews.com have indicated that that's the case. So how do you feel, BB Nate, about 3PO finding a place in virtual reality?
And that'd be cool. Then you'd be in basically everything. He's always in everything. It's weird. He's like Forrest Gump. But I think they've already started with Zoe on Vader Immortal, so they know how to do droids in VR and
use those droids to guide the character through the experience.
Yes, but I don't want him guiding me through the experience. I want to experience it on my own. But it would be cool, kind of just a little bit of a way to push you along if they need to. But I think that it'd be fun to have C-3PO in there. It would be cool. I think that Anthony Daniels would really enjoy it as well. So,
yeah, I think it's almost necessary to have a guide in a sense for games, just in any game, regardless of whether it's
almost. They even do it in Inferno or in Battlefront too.
Any game you need someone helping you understand where to go. So it just makes sense that it's 3PO, because he fits that role perfectly. And I mean, you can't have anyone other than Anthony Daniels playing the character. He just knows the character obviously better than anyone. So being able to have him bring the character to life is going to really sell it, and it'll just make it fun, because then you get to have your own personal experiences with the character in a sense.
Yeah, you're going to have a chance to interact with an Anthony Daniels played C-3PO in a virtual reality world. That's pretty cool. All right, last one. This is the way may not be the way when it comes to the Golden Globes. Recently, Variety revealed that Pedro Pascal was actually eligible to compete, despite the fact that the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, the Golden Globe group that gives out those awards, said that that voice-only performances are not eligible in the acting category. So Pascal's situation was unique, leading the group to clarify the rule and then stating that Pascal could have been nominated for an award last year since the actor was unmasked in the finale, and that kind of created that loophole, making him eligible. Now, this challenge could come in the future because one of the major plot lines of The Mandalorian is Din Djarin's reluctance to remove his helmet for anything, and his clan's "this is the way" idea. So, Samuel Hutt, is it likely that we're going to see more of Din Djarin in season 2, even before this rule adjustment, that the plan was that they were going to start taking off the mask more often?
Yeah, I think for sure he's going to remove his mask. I think they did that at the end of season 1 to kind of set that up for the second season. I don't think he's going to remove it a lot. I'm guessing maximum 3 times in season 2, but it's going to happen to advance the story. It's going to be very important to the story, not just to remove his helmet. So I don't think they're going to do it just so that he can be eligible for a few awards. I don't think that that's what this series is going for. I think they're trying to tell a really good story, and I think if, Pedro Pascal would love to win an award if he could, but I don't think that's what he's going for. I think he wants to sell this character as best he can. So removing the helmet will happen, I think, but just not to win an award.
Yeah, BB Nate, we've talked a little bit about this on previous episodes of how other clans within the Mandalorian culture don't have a problem with removing their helmets. We've seen Sabine do it, Bo-Katan do it. It happens all throughout Clone Wars and Rebels and all of that. What do you think about this idea of this is the way in general in Star Wars? And do you think that Din Djarin's going to remove the helmet and kind of break culture, break the pattern there?
Well, he's not really with his clan anymore. He's kind of trying to go off on his own to protect the child. But I think that he will remove his helmet, not as much as we would think, but maybe 2-3 times.
That's what he said too. So
that would be pretty interesting if they did more. I think that wouldn't really work well with the story, because then it would feel like they're just doing it for the award. But I think that they're just gonna let the story breathe, let it flow, and let it happen. I just think that that's what they need to do.
Either of you think that the lady friend that he made in, I think it was episode 4, on that one planet that was trying to take his helmet off, all that like the whole time she was trying to get him to take his helmet off. Do you think that she's going to be involved in doing that at some point in the future?
No, I think she, as a character, served her purpose. I think she was there to show that there is a struggle within Din Djarin to want to settle down and live a normal life, but that ultimately he thinks that his goal is to protect the child and stay loyal to the clan. So I don't think we're going to see any more of her. I think she served her purpose. I think she's pretty much done for at this point.
BB Nate, what do you think?
I don't think that it's going to happen. I don't really want it to. I don't want to keep going back to the same planet because they want to do the same set because it's already made-ish. But I think that they're going to keep moving on, keep doing different stuff, explore the galaxy a little bit more. If they go back to Tatooine, that's fine. That's a very
because it's Tatooine.
Place. Yeah, it's Tatooine. I mean,
we're just a little biased.
If they go to any other planet that's Endor, that'd be really cool because they haven't been there before either. But Samarine, I think is what it was called, or something like that. I just don't want to see them go back. Not really worth.
Doesn't feel like it fit.
No, because they've already helped them be free from the, I don't know what you would really call it, raids that were going on. And I think that they're free from that. They're able to live their lives. It's all pretty fine right now. But I just don't think that they're going to do that again. And I wouldn't like to see it personally. But
you guys are so wrong. They're going back to that planet.
No.
That lady friend that's his love
Jon
interest.
Favreau and Dave Filoni are smarter than that.
Season 3, they're going to go. If they don't go in season 2, they're going in season 3. It's a major plot line. He's going to get married.
No.
So he found his girl.
Impressive. Every word in that sentence was wrong.
They're going to adopt Baby Yoda.
It's going to be a happy family.
Call up a Hammerhead Corvette. I have an idea.
Be careful not to choke on your aspirations.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
All right, we got a review this week.
Hey,
I know. Is our buddy over
I
there?
love language.
Great
I
kid.
love language.
Don't get
That's right.
cocky.
Our oxygen, as Gary Vaynerchuk would say. Right? You guys know Gary V?
I'm sure I do.
Probably.
You would recognize.
Was it like Crushing It book? Or was that him? Okay, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Gary V. He calls it, your comments are my oxygen, is what he says all the time. So, and it's true. Justin Beeman, J.K. Beeman.
I like this guy.
A longtime Patreon supporter of ours, big friend of the show. Finally gave us a review. I don't know. I think he gave us a review before. I think he did.
He probably has.
He did it again because he's awesome that way. Best podcast in the galaxy. 5 stars.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tatooine Sons is the podcast you're looking for. If you want great family-friendly Star Wars content, then there is no better. Keep up with the amazing work, and as always, may the Force be with you.
Thank you.
Always.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you, Justin. Very nice. All right, last week's podcast poll of the week, the Twitter version of it, was a flash poll. We kept it kind of short. Are the spoilers and leaks about the future of Star Wars bad for Disney and Lucasfilm? We put yes, no, and not you.
The ability to speak does not make you
Sorry,
intelligent.
I think people got the gist.
They did. They got the gist of it. So I'm kind of surprised by this one. We got 25% said not yet. 28.6% said yes, and a whopping 46.4% said give me more. We not even close. Said no on that. That's a pretty runaway winner on that. What would you guys have answered on that?
I would have said yes. I don't like the spoilers.
Do you think it's because we're so involved in the spoilers, like we're like know about them because of the show, and we interact with those stories more often?
Probably.
I think it's inevitable that we're going to see him.
Yeah. I mean, you guys got all the way to Rise of Skywalker unspoiled.
Well, that's because I was purposely avoiding them.
I turned off Facebook 4 days before.
Yeah, I'm like really careful.
And I just jumped all in, and I knew about the entire plot line 6 months before.
This is madness.
So
I'm ashamed.
they're shaking their heads at me right now.
It's wrong.
This is the way.
This is the
It's
way.
not.
No. All right.
All right, so we got a few comments here. First one is from Charlie Red 4 Skywalker at Red 4 Charlie.
There you go, Charlie.
He voted. I voted yes. Sure, it could help generate some buzz, but I miss the days where you just went in blind and enjoyed the product they gave you.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I
you guys
feel.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we have one from Megan Rickards
Yep, good old man.
at FAAPOV.
From an autistic point of view. That's what that stands for.
Very cool.
So instead of from a certain point of view, it's from an autistic point of view.
All right.
Cool. All right. I voted no because it allows them to gain an idea of what fans would like rather than guessing. That is so long as Lucasfilm keeps their spoilers to a minimum. I never want anything big ruined for me. If they leak a spoiler that seems big, I can only hope that it's covering.
Rebellions are built
And then
on
we have
hope.
Miles James Tapade, which I thought he was my favorite one. He said, "What leaks?" So, maybe he's sleeping under a rock, or maybe he doesn't consider any of this stuff leaks or whatever. So,
Or he's just like, well, what leaks?
yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Now, while Jar Jar Binks was clearly the most hated character of the prequel trilogy, which we talked about earlier, no one in the Disney era of Star Wars has been more attacked than Rose Tico. The things that some fans, or supposed fans, have said about her, and specifically about Kelly Marie Tran, the actress who plays her, have been absolutely horrible. But Rose Tico actually has a very important lesson to teach us about the real world that we live in today. We just have to be willing to hear it.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Okay, before we get into this amazing lesson that we're going to talk about with Rose, which I'm excited to have that conversation, initial thoughts. BB Nate, thoughts on Rose Tico?
Very interesting character.
Every character in Star Wars is interesting to you.
The way we're introduced to her is one of the most interesting that we see.
Interesting.
It's not like
We just need to get you a T-shirt that just says "interesting."
it's not like every other character. They're big and they're introduced in this way of a big arc. You just see her. She lost her sister and she's crying. That's the most emotional way that you can introduce a character. But the way that she ended up was the best way that I think she could. She matured the most that she could in the arc that we saw of her. So it's just, she's a very interesting.
She is interesting. Samuel the Hutt, what do you think about Rose Tico?
I mean, a lot of people aren't going to share this thought process, but or this thought, but I think we needed more screen time of her, actually,
Yes.
especially in The Rise of Skywalker.
I think a lot of people actually
Actually,
agree
a lot
with you.
Really? Okay. I think that she was an interesting character that has a lot of potential, but was not used enough. And she could really shed a light on some certain viewpoints that should be explored more in Star Wars, and that just wasn't taken full advantage of.
My understanding, just to address that, was that a lot of the scenes that they included her in that were cut were actually scenes that included Leia.
Oh, okay.
And some of the extra footage that they used from The Force Awakens to try to bring into The Rise of Skywalker, that didn't work. The scenes didn't really connect. It didn't work as naturally, so they had to cut those scenes out. That and some time issues with that. But anyway, yeah, no, I say that. Do you ever notice how much you say yeah, no?
The ability to speak does not make you
I do
intelligent.
too.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll cut that out of the video. I like Rose. I think she's an interesting character, as you do, Nate. And
Very
Sam.
interesting.
I like the idea of someone who is exposed to the reality of the cause that she's a part of, and the humanity of her heroes, and comes through on the other side of that, which was kind of what our main topic is tonight. BB Nate, you can get to go first. Talk about your part.
Well, like I was saying about how she's introduced, Rose is introduced to us a bit naive. We see her, of course, a very devastating entrance with her character. She just lost her sister, and she's crying over the medallion that they shared together. But I mean, then we see Finn, and she starts talking with him. He's this hero. He's the hero that saved the whole Resistance and the Force Awakens. Amazing. And then she seems to start understanding that he's not who she thinks.
Well, why? I mean, explain why she starts to question whether or not he's really.
Well, he's there and he's like playing it up like, yeah, I am a hero. I'm really cool, but he's actually just trying to escape to be able to get to Rey so that she cannot come back to this war and she won't get destroyed.
He was being pretty cowardly.
Yes, very cowardly.
Right, and she sees him as super brave because he's a traitor against the First Order, and he's left them, and he risked everything to get away from the First Order, and she's got him on this pedestal, and then she starts to see he's getting ready to
leave and escape, and like a coward, and then she just tases him and starts to bring him to lock up, but then he convinces her that he needs to be able to find a way to do the same thing that he was going to do. But now I'm the only one in this trio that has read Cobalt Squadron.
Right.
And I loved the book. The book was really good, but she was a lot more naive in that book. A lot more immature.
How long before The Last Jedi does the book take place?
It's been a while since I've read it. I don't know. I think a few years.
It's a few years. Okay.
But this Resistance, like, it's when the Resistance was made.
I understand. It was well before The Last Jedi.
So they're going on this mission, and Rose, I mean, she doesn't do too much. It is a book about her and Paige, but she doesn't do too much because she's still pretty young. But throughout the book, it's all about how their Paige's and Rose's favorite animal is the fathier, which adds a lot more depth to why it's important for her to see it in Last Jedi, and that's why I loved the aspect of that so much. But it's very naive in the fact that she's like, my sister and I have the favorite animal together. Very childish in the sense. Now, I'm not calling her a child. Just the way that was made, it seemed like that.
Yeah. I mean, she's a young person in this. It makes sense that she's still going to, at times, act immature in a sense. It's just the nature of it. And you know, throughout the film though of The Last Jedi, she begins to learn that things aren't quite what they seem. Just like her heroes aren't as
heroic,
perfect as they seemed, and even the bad guys that she sees aren't as black and white as she thought. You know, they're going to Canto Bight, and Finn's asking about who these people are and what this is, and she says they're the worst people on the worst scum in the galaxy. It's the worst place ever. So, you know, you're imagining this dump, kind of like Mos Eisley or something, you know, where all the scum go, and then they get there and it's like Beverly Hills. You know, it's glamorous, and so it kind of brings this fact that, like, you know, bad doesn't always look bad in a sense. But then she learned that they're not just working for the bad guys. They're on the ship, and DJ is showing Finn the holograms or whatever, and he shows that they're selling things to the First Order, the bad guys, and the Rebellion, the good guys. So it's not quite as black and white as you think. You know, the bad guys, they're not necessarily bad guys. They're just in it for the money. They're just trying to get a buck out of anything. So.
And DJ is sort of that character himself.
Yeah, right.
You know, he looks like a bum prisoner drunk in the jail that isn't going to contribute at all to what they need when they're locked in jail with him. And he's actually the code breaker that's going to get them onto Snoke's dreadnought.
But then he later on switches sides again because it's profitable for him.
He is exactly what you know, we were learning about Rose.
And it's a great way for Rose to have a bigger arc in her maturity, because not everything's black and white. And she learns that with the arms dealing and then being betrayed by somebody. So she gets pretty hit hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But the thing that I like about it is, you know, she is exposed to Finn not being the hero that she thought he was. He is kind of selfish and a coward in The Last Jedi to some extent, and that arc takes place for him alongside Rose's arc. And you know, we get to Canto Bight, and she starts to realize that there may be bad people that are part of the Resistance, and there may be good people that are part of the First Order. And you know, I mean, that reminds me of the title crawl of Revenge of the Sith. There's good on. You know, heroes on both sides, evil is everywhere. You know, it's that idea of the lines are much more blurred than we want to believe. And Rose learns that through Canto Bight. But then when we get to Crate and push comes to shove, she goes out of her way to save Finn. She becomes a leader in Resistance Reborn of this, you know, this resistance with it. She becomes one of the top supporters to General Leia in The Rise of Skywalker and going into that. And that happens because while Finn is not perfect and while the Resistance is not perfect, they're still good. And there's a point of wanting to, or maturing on Rose's part, where she doesn't have to have everything be perfect for her to understand that there's good in the world and that you need to embrace good. Okay. She could have walked away from Finn because Finn's a coward and forgotten about he was brave. But he's a human at the same time. You know, she could have walked away from the Resistance and said they're buying arms from these horrible people on Canto Bight. But in the end, the Resistance is still necessary for the galaxy to be free. And so she matures and starts to kind of embrace the nuance that's along with that. What do you think about that, sort of the end of Rose's story with this?
Yeah, I think it's important to realize that not everything's going to be exactly how you think it is. It is a part of growing up, realizing that not everything's quite as simple as you were necessarily raised to believe. And that's just, you know, everything has to be simple when you're little. But eventually you do have to realize that, you know, life's complicated and tough.
Yeah, I mean, her final part in The Rise of Skywalker is very interesting. Yes, and she doesn't go out of her way to save Finn this time. I don't know why, but she's matured in that aspect. She's not the same way that she was. She knows that this is war and some people might have to sacrifice themselves. And she understood that that's what Finn was trying to do. He was trying to sacrifice himself because he felt like he was righting his wrongs and in a way.
And he was being that brave hero that she originally thought he was supposed to be.
So she was going to let him do that. And then, of course, the Falcon goes to save him and all is happy.
but you know, even then, the bravery that he expresses at the end of The Last Jedi when he's going to try to sacrifice himself to take out the
battering ram cannon.
Death Star cannon thing that's there is it's pointless.
Yeah.
And she knows that. She knows him sacrificing himself in that moment is a pointless sacrifice, and she's not going to let him do that. But in The Rise of Skywalker, like you're talking about that, if he has to sacrifice himself in that scenario, it's because they need to Finn has to accomplish this mission in order for this evil to be defeated, and he can accomplish this, and so she trusts him. So that's really a great way to kind of tie that up. For this week's dad moment, we grow up in a world that teaches us that right is right and that wrong is wrong and that the two are crystal clear. And that's good. That's necessary. I think you even talked about that, Sam. But as we age, we begin to see that things aren't always as clear as we thought they were. People that we seem to agree with on issues can turn out to be horrible people. And people we disagree with on issues can turn out to be some of our best friends. Part of growing up is learning that good and evil aren't based on simply claiming to be part of a certain political or religious group. Good is actually seen in our actions. Doing the right thing is more important than saying the right things. And now more than ever, with what we've got going on in our world, we need to remember that. All right, next week we get to talk about my guy.
He's a dude.
He's my guy, Kanan Jarrus.
Yeah.
My favorite character from Star Wars Rebels, the reluctant mentor. Very excited about that. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
Disney World puts stormtroopers to work as social distancing advocates in Disney Springs.
We haven't had a chance to see this yet, but
that's pretty cool.
Definitely on our list of things we want to
I'm
see.
gonna make sure to not social distance so I can get stopped by a stormtrooper.
That's cool. Disney's reportedly casting a live action Ezra for a post Rebels show. I know that's a spoiler. That lovely
more rumors.
But would you be cool with Ezra?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, and Galaxy's Edge is 1 year old.
Why do you sound so sad when you say
you
that?
can't go and celebrate it.
And we didn't get to see it in the first year.
Yeah,
it's Life Day.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah. Soon, July 11th.
Hopefully,
not July 11th,
before.
July
15th.
15th is that?
Or before, because pass holders apparently are going to get exclusive.
We're hoping for it. Okay. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
So much for watching the show. We're definitely excited for you watching, for you listening. Obviously, if you're watching this right now, you need to know that this show is significantly longer on the audio side. We have other things we discuss, and we hope you'll be a part of checking that out on the audio side. You can give us a review on audio, which helps people find the show, which is definitely something we would love for you guys to do on iTunes or on Spotify, Google Podcasts. We encourage you guys to be a part of that. All right, and if you're, obviously, if you're watching this show right now, then you found Tatooine Sons on Facebook. So we're going to ask you to give us a like. Make sure that you're mashing down that button. Stay connected with us as we post other content. We have new videos. We have videos coming out every single day, Monday through Friday, right now for the month of June. That's the goal. We've had one so far when we recorded this episode. We got another one scheduled to go out tomorrow, and one after that, and more recordings. So got lots of content coming out on our Facebook page. We need you guys to like the page so that you guys can be informed about that. If you want to participate in the conversation more, then our discussion group is where you want to be. And so we've got a link on this right now in the show notes or in the comments where you can go in and like that or become a member of our group and participate in some of the conversations that we have there. We are on Instagram. We're doing some stuff there. We're obviously always on Twitter because that's where we've been, really active for the last couple of years, and we're going to continue to stay on that. That's pretty much does it as far as social media. This show, like I mentioned, we've got our weekly show that comes out every Monday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We've got that happening. And next week, we're talking about Kane and Jarrus, so make sure you join us for that. And then Monday through Friday, we're doing our special interview series for the month of June. So it comes out at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Facebook and on audio podcasts. So I think that's pretty much going to do it for this week. Anything else you guys want to say?
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you, always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.
Joy, please.